Well, that sucked, you guys. There's just no other way to put it. That completely sucked. Before we get started, you guys, I am joined by longtime Suns fan, and somebody who also does his own Phoenix Suns YouTube videos. I'm joined by Hitman X. This guy has been a supporter of mine for as long as I can remember. And I'll tell you that he was there during the dark days. I mean, he was there when we were winning 19 games and drafting my boy Dragan Bender. And this guy's been supporting my channel for as long as I can remember. So Hitman X, before we start diving into this game, man, how are you doing first off? And, tell the people who you are and where they can find you, man.
Well, I appreciate you for letting me on your channel, man.
Of course, man. It's been a long time coming.
Right. It's been way too long, man. So I've been following you for a good 5 or 6 years. I want to say, give or take. So I've always appreciated your grind and your dedication to the Suns. And it's unfortunate because this was supposed to be the night that we get to the NBA championship. This was supposed to be the first stream that we collab on, the NBA championship collab. But it is what it is.
You and I should be going nuts right now, like screaming and dancing around our rooms,
crazy right now, man. We're supposed to be going crazy right now, but it is what we'll get our time. We'll get our time.
You know what, man? As bad as this loss was, I got to be cocky. I still think that the Suns are going to win in 6 games, as you see on the screen right here. I truly believe it, man. I think the Suns will win. I think that this loss was a great wake-up call, man. I mean, and this loss kind of reminds me of really, we lost, was it game 3? I think, yeah, it was game 3 when we shot like terrible. It's just a great wake-up call. The Suns respond to these kind of losses. It's just everything seemed like it was going in our favor. I mean, obviously Kawhi's been out, but Zubac was out. He's been really great all series, in my opinion. It just seemed like everything was clicking. Game 5 at home. This should have been our chance. The Valley was rallying, and they were super loud at points, but the Clippers just straight up punched us in our mouth, and they never looked back. Now, granted, we are going to dive into it. There were times where the Suns responded, and they looked like they had a lot of life. And yes, we're going to talk about the officiating. I'll get your opinion on the officiating tonight, but I just straight up think the Suns got outplayed. They got out-hustled. And again, I cannot repeat this enough. They punched us in the mouth. So, once again, guys, before we get started, make sure to Hulk smash the like button. Please subscribe. Send any and all positivity in the comments because we need it. Normally I'm a very biased and optimistic Suns fan, but tonight it's a little hard to do that. So, Hitman X, just your initial thoughts. What is just your reaction to this loss?
Well, it's kind of the same as what you just said. I mean, we got punched in our mouth, but I feel like we rely too much on our home court. Our fans and them rallying us instead of actually executing. I feel like they came out very slow and going through the motions as if it was a practice or something or a scrimmage.
Exactly.
It's like this is a closeout game. This isn't a regular season game where you could just come in and this isn't the Lakers without AD. This isn't the Denver Nuggets. They're not going to lay down. The Clippers want this. They're a team that's been here before. They've had a 3-1 lead and blown it. We have a 3-1 lead. We can't be the Clippers of last year and blow a 3-1 lead. So we have to make sure we come out and we set the tone early. The one thing I noticed is that first quarter. I mean, that's what really killed us. If you go back and look, the first quarter is what really killed us. I mean, Marcus Morris getting shots. I mean, going crazy from the field, man. I don't think we'll ever see that again. So
right.
I mean,
it was like when Terrence Mann went off in Game 6 against the Jazz. It was like we're probably not going to see that again, man.
Right. It's like an anomaly, man. It's not going to happen again. But we can't rely on that type of logic though. Going into Game 6, we got to make sure it doesn't happen again. We can't just say, "Oh, it won't." It was a lucky occurrence. It cannot happen again. These third quarters as well. We cannot allow the Clippers to come out hot in the third quarter. I mean, all but one game, the Clippers have outscored us in the third quarter in every game except for one game. So,
and that's crazy, man. I'm sorry to cut you off because we're a really good third quarter team, and I was like, yeah, the Suns were really bad at halftime. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like I thought
No, you
third
got it.
quarter would have been us. I thought that would have been our dominant third quarter, and we closed the third quarters out poorly too. No, not third quarter. All quarters we closed them out poorly. And again, I'm a big third quarter guy. The Suns have been a great third quarter team all year, and that was not the case tonight.
Right. It hasn't been the case all series. So
Yeah,
that's been my biggest issue. Is like I step outside for a minute, and halftime I come back and it's like what's going on? This isn't what I'm accustomed to seeing. So like moving forward, we have to make sure we're doing a better job at executing. I don't know if the team's getting away from Monty Williams' game plan because I'm not really seeing 0.5 offense.
right?
A lot of people like to attribute that to Patrick Beverly and the defense he's playing. I don't look at that as real defense. That's just a lot of talking and a lot of mental psychological warfare going on with Patrick Beverly. He talks a lot and he gets you out of your game just by talking.
Facts.
So we gotta do a better job at ignoring the antics, man. The Clippers are a team full of antics. I don't want to take anything away from the Clippers,
right.
But they're a very pesty team, and you have to match their energy. You have to go back with them, not verbally but physically. You have to, like I said, Patrick Beverly's reaching and getting all up in your chest with his antics. Go back at him, Forget the referees. If they're gonna blow the whistle, they're gonna blow the whistle. But
Exactly.
you set the tone and you set a message by saying, listen, I'm not going for that. You can't just come over and think you're gonna punk me. You're not gonna punk me. So like I said, man, we just have to come in the next game with a more of a sense of urgency, in my opinion, if we want to take this series.
I absolutely agree with all of that. And I like the way you worded it earlier when you were saying it felt like we were kind of playing through the motions. And really, it's just all about responding at this point. All the Suns have to do is just win one game. And this should have been it on our home floor. Closeout game potentially. The fans and everything, and Zubac being out and Kawhi being out. It's like, could you imagine if Kawhi would have played this game? That it would have been a nightmare. And again, man, and I get it. I get the people that say it's not about how you start. It's all about how you finish. Well, when you're the Phoenix Suns, it's all about how you start. They went up 18-5, and Monty finally calls a timeout. I love Monty Williams, but I was like, you had a little too much trust in your team right there. We couldn't get anything going to start. The defense was bad. The Clippers seemed like they couldn't miss a shot. But I will say this, though, because I'm looking at my notes here. Throughout the game, the Suns would go on little runs, but it seemed like it didn't matter. It seemed like a 10-point lead was like a 20-point lead for the Clippers,
Exactly.
Yeah, it was just rough, man. Just every single time the Clippers would go. And for some reason, like you pointed out earlier, Marcus Morris had a huge game. I think at one point in the second quarter, Reggie Jackson, who's been shooting lights out all playoffs long, Marcus Morris and DeMarcus Cousins combined for 39 first half points.
All in double digits. Yeah,
Yep.
That was all in double digits.
And that was with 3:47 left in the second quarter. And that if that doesn't explain the game, and I'm not blaming the loss on Jay Crowder, but if Jay Crowder passing the ball to Monty Williams for a turnover doesn't explain this game, I don't know what does. This was just a horrible loss. And I'm not trying to sound like a negative Nelly, but you and I talked before this stream started. The Suns deserve all the criticism that's going to come at them from the fans, the media, us, etc.
And let me touch on Monty Williams too, because you said something about Monty. Mm-hmm. I feel like Monty Williams cost us this game as well. I mean, I've been high on Monty Williams.
Me too.
This whole series, this whole season. I mean,
yeah.
And I feel like, listen, man, I ain't gonna say I love Dario. I have a love-hate relationship with Dario Saric.
I think a lot of people do.
Cool. I mean, it's not a surprise at this point. But Dario Saric, every time we put Dario Saric in, they go with DeMarcus Cousins. And it's obvious that's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you still at this point go with Dario? I would much rather have somebody like Frank Kaminsky or even Torrey Craig who showed some type of glimpse of hope for us in the second. Yeah, energy, rebounding, crashing the boards down low, versatility, a Swiss Army knife. We need that down the stretch when they're going small on us. We need to have some way of combating that. So I would run Torrey Craig at the center. I would run Torrey Craig because you got to look at it like this: if they're gonna kill us with DeMarcus Cousins down low, they're gonna kill us with Dario Saric. So why go with Dario Saric? I mean, I'd rather have Torrey Craig get killed than Dario Saric.
Exactly.
Come on now.
And I mentioned this earlier, like when the Suns were down 18-5, I was like, Monty had a little too much trust there. And I think Monty just had a little too much trust in, Abdel Nader, Dario Saric, and and I get it. Maybe put in Dario when you're versing Joel Embiid, because I thought Dario Saric guards Joel Embiid pretty well. But like DeMarcus Cousins in a closeout playoff game that matters, you can't do that. And there was one stretch, I don't know if Ayton was injured or whatever the case may be, where Ayton was gone. I was like, where the hell is DeAndre Ayton at? It's like, play the man minutes. You got to match that body for body on DeMarcus Cousins. It was just a lot of everything went wrong tonight.
That's the thing. I mean, Tyronn Lue's doing a great job because he's paying attention to his rotations. Whenever we bring DeAndre Ayton back in, that's when they go back small. So I got to take my hats off to Tyronn Lue. He's doing a great job at managing the game pretty well. And like I said, we just got to make minor tweaks in our roster and get Dario Saric the hell up out of here right now. Dario Saric has to take a seat, man. This isn't a series for him, man. It's a bad look for him on the court. I mean, I don't have the box score on me right now. I'm not sure.
I got it. We'll go over the box score in a little bit. Yeah,
goodness.
I agree, man. I mean, I love Dario. He started off the season really well, but then he went down that injury and stuff. And there are games here and there that he showed up, but I feel like all playoffs long, he has not been there. And that's again where I just think Monty had just a little too much trust in his team tonight. And I feel like Torrey Craig even play the first half?
He didn't at all.
Yeah, and I'm like, you need guys like that out there. Guys out there that have that kind of momentum and that playoff experience. Because remember, Torrey Craig's been to the Western Conference Finals. It's like I didn't know what the rotations were looking like tonight. And I know how deep this team is, but Monty seems to be stuck on 8 or 9 guys, like when Langston Galloway and Javon Carter are barely playing minutes. I'm like, when you need offensive firepower, you got to sometimes bring in a spark. And that's where we'll kind of get positive for a minute. I thought Cam Johnson was fantastic tonight. Let me read you the numbers here. Cam Johnson, 23 minutes, 5 for 6 shooting, 3 huge threes, 14 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 steals. I agree with you. Player of the game, man. What did you see from Cam Johnson tonight?
I seen pretty much effort. The effort that I wanted everybody else to play with. The energy I wanted everybody else to play with. Cameron Johnson was pretty much the only player on the court with that. Cameron and Torrey Craig. Yeah. And that just goes to show who wants it. Look, CP3, we all love you, CP3, but how much do you really want to get to the NBA Finals at the end of the day? Because there's a statement going over his head that he's a choker in the finals or in the playoffs. And he never gets it done. He never could get over the hump. And I don't want to come down on him too hard yet. We still have a 3-2 lead, but
exactly.
I mean, games like this is just only going to make it worse for you. It's only going to make the haters or whatever you want to call them look like they're geniuses, like they're telling the truth about you or whatever. Right. I don't want to have that type of narrative getting pushed. So, like I said, man, guys like CP3, Devin Booker, I understand you have a mask on or whatever, but it's no excuses for Devin Booker either. The bull in the China shop mentality that he has whenever we're down, that has to tighten up. I get it. You want to make plays and you want to do certain things on the court, but you have to do it disciplined. You have to be disciplined on the court, in my opinion.
Booker, my friend DM'd me and he was like, Booker's trying too much hero ball tonight. And I think I agree. And you said it, like bull in a China shop and just kind of overly aggressive and taking just wild shots. And there was a small stretch where I think Booker himself might have scored 9 straight points or something like that. He had a few runs here and there, but it was just too much hero ball, man, and turning the ball over at important times. And I can't believe we've gone 15 minutes without talking about DeAndre Ayton. They didn't get him the ball. He didn't seem energized. He seemed slow. I'm not blaming DeAndre Ayton for the loss, but maybe if you would have gotten him more involved early on. I mean, I think I jinxed DeAndre Ayton. I made a video praising the man's name, and tonight he was a no-show. But was it because maybe they weren't getting him the ball? I don't know, man.
That's why I said we got away from the 0.5 offense. And to Devin Booker's credit, I mean, he hits those tough shots.
He does.
But he shot too many of them, in my opinion. Way too many tough shots trying to force things.
Right.
And we just, like I said, game 6, especially with Zubac out, we have to find a way to find that 7-footer down low, because they don't have a 7-footer on the floor. Yep. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins, he's off the bench. Whenever he comes in, he's not matching up with DeAndre Ayton, though. And DeMarcus Cousins can't carry DeAndre Ayton's breakfast. DeAndre Ayton's the best big man on the court. He needs to know that. Facts. Whenever he steps between the lines, and we have to make sure we're aware of that. We find him in the offense.
Somebody in the chat asked how many rebounds did Ayton had. He had 11, but it sure didn't seem like it. And again, I'm not blaming this loss on Ayton, but it didn't seem like he had 11 rebounds.
Right.
Yeah, it was just an all-around horrible game. And Roy, Roy's a big-time supporter of mine. He's been on this channel once before. Shout out to Roy. He asked a question earlier. I know our conversation's kind of jumping all over the place, but he asked, do you think CP3, let me find the question. It was like, do you think CP3 stamina is down or something like? Yeah, here we go. Do you think?
Oh yeah, I seen that question.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's that, because it's like Chris Paul played last game too, and it's like I just think something. I don't know if it's the Clippers and their zone defense, if it's just Clippers punching us in the mouth, if it's maybe our shooting woes right now. Like something just isn't right, and maybe you're right, man. Like playing through the motions, not running Monty Williams' offense, not being the team that we've seen all season. Like clearly something's wrong. I'm very optimistic that they will bounce back. You've seen it all season that when this team lost 2 games in a row, they took it personally. And that's the mentality that I'm talking about. And when guys don't step up, players like Cam Johnson have to step up. And Chris Paul's got to be better. Devin Booker has to be better. The whole team has to be better, man. Even though Cam Johnson was great, the whole team has to be better.
Right.
Yeah.
And the one thing I also want to touch on is the defense, because it was good in spots, but
a little bit.
I felt like
they picked it up at times.
Yeah, we picked it up at times, but I feel like we made a mistake last game. We got too overly invested in our defense last game. Like I seen CP3 celebrating the defense last game. We were lucky to get through that game last game, right? We should have played better defensively we should have played better on both ends last game. We got the game. We got the win, We all want the win at the end of the day. But I felt like maybe we didn't play as good because of that. We felt like the Clippers, like I said, down 3-1, we're going to lay down and just say, oh, it's over with. There's no way we'll come back. So that cannot continue to go on, because the Clippers get another game. It's a game 7 going back home. Of course, we have the advantage, but that's a 50-50 game.
Yep.
So defensively, in my opinion, is where we're going to really make our mark, because we missed a lot of rotations. We was very late and confused. I mean, you see guys like Devin Booker. It was one play where I seen when Reggie Jackson got the dunk, Devin Booker just completely blew the assignment. Like, what was you doing there? Like, you just let him walk right to the basket. Chris Paul run under him.
Yep.
He don't even go for the block, like, or at least foul him. Like, don't let him get a wide open dunk. Like make him have to work for it. Where's that energy? Where's that effort at?
Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but Reggie Jackson, I think, had 2 of those dunks. But that first one, which might have been in the first quarter or first half, that was when I was like, oh my God, this team came to play. I knew they weren't going to win. And Reggie Jackson, man, I didn't know he was that good of a shooter. He has been shooting crazy good in the playoffs. And you're absolutely right. The defensive rotations were horrible. And look, I understand Paul George is an all-star. He's a great player and everything. It didn't matter if it was Marcus Morris, Paul George, Reggie Jackson. Anybody could have drove in that lane and scored tonight. It was embarrassing tonight. And that's where it goes back with the defensive rotations, just the weird energy from the Suns, and just flat out embarrassing, man. And, I want to look at points in the paint, which I know the Clippers won. 58 points in the paint tonight compared to the Suns' 32. The Suns had a lot of fouls, 14 turnovers for the Suns. Somehow we won the assist battle 22-20. I guess
we're usually in the 30 range, though. Yep. As far as the assists, we're usually like around 30 or 28, 30. Somewhere around that range is ideal for the Suns. But 14 turnovers, that's uncharacteristic, man. You're not winning games giving up 50-something points in the paint.
Yeah,
14 turnovers. That's just terrible, man.
Yeah.
Completely. We barely won a rebounding battle without Zubac on the floor.
And I'm a big critic of the Suns rebounding. I'm like, they got to rebound to win games with or without Zubac or whoever they have. You know, I don't care. Like, you got to win the rebounding battle. You know, AJ and DJ say crash the boards. Oh God, they had 4 points in the paint every time we missed. Why are we worried about transition? I mean, we just let guys drive to the rim. That's all I'm saying. And then, you know, Kenny Perry, longtime supporter of mine, said, what's your guys' panic level from 1 to 10 with 1 not being worried at all? 5? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think we're going to win the series. Like, but if this were game 6, I'd be panicking. If everything that would have happened tonight would have been game 6, I'd be panicking. 5. I still think the Suns are going to win this series in 6. I do want to ask you, though, what did you think of the officiating tonight? Like, I don't know, because you said it, like the refs are going to blow the whistles, but what did you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, man, I mean, all season, I mean, I remember you doing a video about Monty Williams complaining about the refs. Yeah, talking to the refs, and stuff like. So it's been like that all season.
Facts.
But my thing is, we got to find a way to play through the whistle. Like, of course, the officiating was horrible, but we have to play through the whistle. And the officiating didn't blow the coverage on defense, right? Like when they're getting wide open lanes to the basket, wide open shots. That's not officiating. That's our team. So my philosophy has always been worry about what you can control. You can't control what the referee's doing. You know, when you're going around barking at the referees, you're getting outside of the play. You're getting outside of the floor of the game. Like I see Devin Booker, he gets fouled. He clearly gets fouled. He gets up, he's yelling at the referee instead of getting back on defense.
Yep.
You know, so like I said, of course the referees are bad, but they're not gonna look. You gotta look at it. Who wants to see the Suns versus, let's say, the Hawks or the Bucks in the finals? They want to see the Los Angeles Clippers. Like that's right. Los Angeles. They want Los Angeles so they're gonna obviously be leaning more towards them. But we have to outplay the Clippers. It's just that simple. You know, we have to play. We have to, like, we're not gonna have the referees on our side anymore. Yep. So we have to outplay the Clippers at this point. Here on out, we have to outplay every team. We're not going to have the referees on our side.
Yeah, and I agree, man. And I remember I was doing a live stream with John from the Suns Jam Session podcast, and he went on this huge rant about the referees. And I was just basically saying that the Suns get no, quote, superstar calls and the refs hate the Suns. But I absolutely agree, man. And you want to think maybe that's what Monty Williams is trying to tell his guys, play through the whistle, but Devin Booker needs to quit barking at the refs. DeAndre Ayton had a big problem with that for a long time. Instead of getting back on defense, Ayton would just jog down court barking at Oh God, I hate when he does that. It frustrates me so bad, man. Like, dude, you're not Shaq, you're not Hakeem, you're not Joel Embiid, you're not going to get those calls, man. But you're right. Play through the whistle. And again, the referees aren't going to have you play better defense. The referees, you know, aren't gonna. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. Like,
I remember one play though. Like, to our credit, like I remember one play where I think CP3 got fouled on the 3-point line, and then they came down and Paul George they called a foul for Paul George in a similar situation. I'm like, if you're gonna call that for Paul George, why wouldn't you call that for us? Like, what does that make sense? You know, like we have a valid criticism in my opinion. Like, yeah. It's valid to say the referees are screwing us right now, but at the end of the day, we just got to play better, man. That doesn't take away from 14 turnovers and 53 points in the paint. Like, that doesn't take away from that. And what the Clippers are doing out here needs to be saluted as well. They're playing hard and they're trying to save their season. So hats off to them, man. But
again, no,
you got it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the referees were just horrible. The only thing I'll say is, I just felt like it was in the Clippers' favor tonight. I mean, this has happened all season, but there were just so many plays where, especially with Paul George, where like you're barely touching the guy, barely, and they call a foul. I'm like, you can't even breathe on a guy without it being a foul. It's just embarrassing officiating from the league. I've said this all season. I'm like, Adam Silver needs to do something about the officiating, man, because you literally cannot touch a player without it being a foul. And Yeah, I mean the chat's loving you, by the way, man. They're saying this dude's preaching. Who is this guy? Guys, check him out. Just go to the YouTube search bar, Hitman X. He's been saying this all season, and again, this guy, you've been a Suns fan for as long as I can remember. You've been one of my longest time supporters, and yeah, just like he's saying here, don't get sad, bro. Y'all winning game 6. Exactly.
Yeah,
like we're gonna win, but this was just. I said it on Twitter. I said it on social media. Follow me, by the way. Links down below. I just said, I'm not mad, Phoenix Suns. I'm just disappointed. It's that simple.
Well, it's just annoying. It's annoying to me, man. It's just annoying to watch the Suns go out there and do that, man. But one thing I can lay my hat on is we don't lose consecutive games too often, man. So
facts.
If that's one thing we can lay our hat on, like we got this far for a reason, So I trust that team to bounce back.
And I'm glad you brought that up, man, because, I can keep talking about the game and stuff, but this team is special, man. And I truly mean that. Like, I can't wrap my head around all this winning. It's just been so fun. And I'm trying to enjoy every second of it. All the great moments we've had, like recently with the Valley Oop and all that. And just, all the great storylines all season. This team is special, and they are going to go to the NBA Finals, and I believe they will win the NBA championship. I think we're that good. We just can't have games like this. But let us have games like this. There's no easy road to the NBA championship. There's just not, And if the Suns are as good as we think, they need to have losses like this. That's how I look at it.
What about Devin Booker's body language, man? I'm looking at because Game 6 versus the Lakers. I never seen Devin Booker with that look in his face. Like he had that like he wanted to kill somebody look in his face.
Exactly.
And I'm looking for that now. I'm like, I don't know if it's the mask or what. Like I'm like, dude, I don't want to be around him. Right. Like that type of energy is what we need from Devin Booker. It's not about the stat line. It's about your approach to the game. And that's why I say, like, you can't just be going out there with the hero ball mentality, just running through people trying to draw fouls. Crazy basketball play is not what we need from Devin Booker. We need you locked in and focused.
There was one play, maybe fourth quarter, where Booker took it to like the right corner or something. He got double teamed, might have even possibly been triple teamed. And I get it, but he held the ball way too damn long and threw it to Ayton. And I think Ayton fumbled it or something like that. I was just like, dude, and I get it. That's a tough play. You're triple team. But I was like, come on, man. Hero ball. I'm not a big fan of Point Booker and.
Oh yeah, I hate it. I mean, man, hey, remember we had Point Book when Igor Kokosov was here, man. That was terrible.
Exactly.
Oh, man, don't bring up the dark days. Goodness gracious, man.
And you've seen my videos, man. I've been Booker's biggest critic all year, but at the start of the season, man, he was a turnover machine. And there was even a small point during the playoffs where he was a turnover machine, man. And just little plays like that. I know that he'll respond. I think the pressure's good for Devin Booker in his first playoffs. DeAndre Ayton is turning into a grown man in front of our eyes. Maybe besides tonight's game, but really, can you blame him? You can blame the whole team. But we all know Booker's a superstar, but he's still got lots to work on, man.
And I'm glad you said that about DeAndre Ayton, because like it was one play where he got a dunk down low. They threw him a dump off pass down low. And he turned around and he dunked it. Remember, he usually turns around and he throws that soft hook or whatever.
Yep.
He turned around and dunked it. I'm like, we never seen that from DeAndre Ayton his whole career. And that goes to your credit. Like, he's becoming a man before our eyes, Yep. And the sky's the limit for DeAndre Ayton, man. We definitely have to lock him in and make sure he's a Suns for life, man. Because we don't know what we have with him, man. Like, he could guard the perimeter. I trust him in the pick and roll defense.
Right.
He had soft touch around the basket, man. That dude he has it all. He has everything. Soft mid-range game, man. Once he pulls the game out to the three-point line, I mean, you're looking at a top three. Yeah, it's top 3 big man in the league. And he's only in his 3rd year. He has so much room to improve.
That's what I was gonna say, man. He's just 22 years old, and Bridges is like probably 22 or 23 or something like that. And the future is so bright, man. Like, no matter what happens in the finals or whatever for the Suns, I think we're going to be good. Knock on wood. We're going to be good for years.
Well, we need to get a
man.
championship.
Yeah, right.
We got to get a championship, man. We definitely have to get a championship this year, man. This is CP3. In my opinion, this is his best chance to get a championship. And we've gotten so far as it is. So why would we cheat ourselves at this point? I get it's a good learning experience. We gotta remember this is our first time being in the playoffs in 10 years, and we're
Yep.
already in the Western Conference Finals en route to being in the finals. So even though we lost a tough game, and yeah, this was our chance to get to the finals, we still have two more chances at least. At the very most, two more chances. And we've gotten so far with a young team. The sky's the limit. So I'm looking at championship. I'm not looking at anything else but championship. At first, I was afraid of the Atlanta Hawks for a minute. I'm like, oh, the Atlanta Hawks are this, they're that, because you remember we split the season series with them.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's I ain't gonna say a bad matchup, but that's a tricky matchup for us.
Right.
But I mean, now that I look at it, I'm like, look, man, I don't care about the Atlanta Hawks. Like this is our chance to win a championship. Period. Point blank. We don't have any championships in franchise history.
Facts.
So this is, like I said, this is the best chance. If we're gonna get it, we have to get it now.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to go on a little rant here, but I'm going to ask you a question. Like, I'm 32, and like I was a little younger during the Barkley years, but I've studied the history of the Suns, and I know the Barkley years were obviously fantastic, going to the finals in 93 and really just a lot of dominance when he was there. But then I remember I was in my late teens when the Nash era was happening, and I remember that like it was yesterday. It's like this new Suns team is kind of this generation's, Nash and Barkley, and, even Alvin Adams, he's behind me, when they went to the finals in 76. It's like we have all this new era of Suns fans, all these young Suns fans, and it's great. So I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, like, how have you been processing all this winning? Like, has it hit you yet that we're one win away from the finals? Like, does my question make sense?
I mean, I get what you're saying. It kind of hit me. It hit me when we beat the Lakers, man.
Right?
When we beat the Lakers, I felt
almost cried, man. I legit had almost tears.
Right. I'm pretty sure you seen my live stream. I kind of went ballistic because I'm like that was the team. That was the team that we really had on like. That was our Achilles heel. Everybody all year said we couldn't beat the Lakers. We'll probably be in the second round. We'll probably get to the second round and get knocked out, or lose a first round exit. When they seen the Lakers on the roster, they said, "Oh, this is a 5 or 6 game series," and we got past them. So now it's like, who else is in front of us that's really a challenge? Who's really going to knock? Who can you really put your hand down and say, "All right, they're going to beat the Suns"?
That's why I'm not scared of the Bucks or the Hawks, even though the Hawks are a great story.
They definitely. That's a team. Like I said, Trae Young. I never count him out, but this would be his first time, just like it would be Devin Booker's first time. And CP3, in my opinion, he's a better point guard. Of course, in my opinion, I feel like he's a better point guard than Trae Young. So across the board, I feel like we have a better team than the Hawks. So we should be able to knock them out pretty easily. But we still have to get past the Clippers. We can't overlook the Clippers. We still have food on our plate,
Yep, exactly. And that was the mindset after game 4, was the players were saying, look, like, yeah, we are aware we're one game from the finals, but they were like, we still got to win the game, and whatever the mindset was coming into this game, it was just different, but they are aware. And I know Monty's going to get into them tonight, and they're going to look at the film. They will respond, but this was just such a give me game, man. But I still believe that the cards are in our favor, if you will, if that makes sense. And, especially since the Brooklyn Nets are out of it, I'm just like, man, things are, and I feel like beating the Lakers was, first off, just bad luck, bad circumstances with having to play the Lakers in the first round. But I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just beating the Lakers, I feel like, was kind of the I don't know how to word this, like the ultimate test, if you will. My dogs are barking. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, but just beating the Lakers was just so satisfying, especially with all those years in the past. There were even battles in like the 90s and 80s with the Suns and the Lakers. It's just, I'm just so glad we beat them, man. But you're right. One more game, man.
Last time we seen any type of playoff action, the Lakers knocked us off in the Western Conference Finals. So that was my championship right there.
Exactly.
So that's when it really hit me. Like, okay, we're here now. We're actually, and then Devin Booker to have that type of performance in a closeout game. I'm like, what do we have here? Do we have another Kobe Bryant? You know, like, and I get it. You know, Stephen A. took that narrative and ran with it and kind of
Yeah.
smeared it. You know, he kind of threw a negative connotation on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like that's our franchise player. You know, I've given, just like you have, I've given Devin Booker a lot of criticism on my channel,
Yep.
and he's taken so many strides in his time in Phoenix, man. I'm just proud of what we have on our table. You know, I'm proud of what we have in our organization. And shout out to James Jones as well, man. James Jones did a great job in what, 2 years, 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He did such a great job with this team, man.
That's what's scary. I'm sorry to cut you off. That's what's scary is he's only been here 2 short years and he's done all of this. Go on with what you were saying.
No. From the first transaction, remember, we traded TJ Warren for cash considerations.
And people gave us shit.
Yeah, people gave us all kind of shit for that. Then we turned around and we got Dario Saric and Cameron Johnson in the draft.
And people criticized us for that too.
Right. And then we got Ricky Rubio and I think we already had Kelly Oubre, right, at that point. We already had Kelly Oubre.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, we already, but we went and got Aaron Baines and although we filled in the roster pretty nicely, Frank Kaminsky and all those guys, and that gave us our identity. You know, that's, in my opinion, that's what made us to where we are now. You know, it gave us the 0.5 philosophy. You know, I mean, bringing in Monty Williams changed our organization overnight. So, hats off to James Jones, man. He don't get enough credit, in my opinion.
Absolutely, man. That's why I'm so glad he won the Executive of the Year award, because we all know Monty Williams was the Coach of the Year, despite how great Thibodeau was, and even Nate McMillan and all them. And I'm probably forgetting some coaches, but you're right. James Jones does not get enough credit, and I'm glad that he finally did get some credit there. And that's why I keep saying it, man. I'm like, the future is so bright because I really do trust James Jones. He has not given me a reason to not trust him. And I know this is random, but do you remember when Josh Jackson or somebody like didn't show up to that like Fry's event or something, and James Jones went to that event? Do you remember that? And he was like meeting fans and stuff, and he gave all the ones that were 21 or over free beer. I guess my point that I'm getting with that is not every GM does that. Like, you wouldn't see an NBA GM do that. They would send somebody else. He literally went out there and did it. It was incredible. Like, I made a video long time ago about it, and it's all over the media. Like, that was huge, man. That's when I was like, James Jones is different, man.
Yeah, James Jones is a class act, man. Shout out. He's always been one of my favorite Phoenix Suns, man. Him, Rajah Bell, of course, man. You got to remember Clothesline Bell, man. Yeah, you got to give him his props, man. I always love Rajah, man. I mean, like I said, we have a great philosophy over here, you know. And guys like Josh Jackson, I mean, I think that was a Ron McDonough pick, wasn't it? That was a Ron McDonough move. And I remember that live stream you did too when we got robbed for the #1 pick that year. You had did a live stream on a draft lottery. You was pissed, man. I remember that. You was pissed, man.
I will say that's one of the losses that I have to take, is I had way too much faith in Ryan McDonough. I thought this guy was a great GM. That's because I didn't know what winning looked like. And now it's like James Jones just trounces over Ryan McDonough, man. You know?
James Jones has a high basketball IQ. Like, even on the court, he had a high basketball IQ. He was a very efficient shooter. So that's him, you know.
I think LeBron said he was either his favorite teammate of all time or like one of his favorites, because he's played with obviously a lot of legends and Hall of Famers and all that. But I think he said James Jones was one of my favorite teammates, and he was just molded. You know, he was probably born to be a general manager, and he's showing why, man. So, yeah. I guess I'm just looking at some box score here. Paul George, 41 points in 41 minutes. I had to double check if that was correct. He only missed 5 shots. He had 3 threes, 13 boards, 6 assists. He was in the zone. Did have 6 turnovers, but he had a hell of a game. Reggie Jackson, like I said, go ahead.
I think we have to trap Paul George. I know Monty Williams doesn't like the double team. We definitely have to get the ball out of his hands, though. Without Kawhi Leonard on the court, we have to make somebody else beat us.
Facts. Yeah.
Reggie Jackson, he hit a lot of tough shots. He hit a lot of, and they started to do that in the fourth quarter, and we had success with it. But Reggie Jackson got a lot of difficult shots, and he just so happened to hit them. That's why I feel like luck falls in. You know, like, I don't see Reggie Jackson doing that again. I know you think he's not really a great shooter like that. I don't.
He's just like a good shooter in the playoffs. This season, these playoffs. Yeah,
he's not going to do that next game. I trust Monty Williams to make that adjustment at least.
I agree, man. Like I've kind of said it all season. I'm like, even during the regular season, I'm like, let like LeBron and Giannis and Paul George and all them, let them get their numbers. You can't stop them. Stop everybody else, especially this playoffs, man. I just feel like ever since game 3, the playoffs for the Suns have just been strange, man. Like game 3, we couldn't hit a shot, and we obviously saw what happened in game 4, and obviously tonight, I don't know, just something is just strange. We got to stop Paul George. Adjustments will be made. David right here says game 6 final score prediction 125-105. Suns will win. David. Yeah.
I agree. It's going to be an ugly game for the Clippers.
We're a tough team to stop when we get over 115 or 120. We're so hard to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know.
We got to get quality shots, man. This is it's what it boils down to, getting quality shots, man.
Facts. Riley says Marcus Morris' first quarter performance beat us.
Right. I said it, man. Marcus Morris, man. Shout out to Marcus Morris, man. Phoenix Suns for life, man.
Yep. Morris is a punk. He should have fouled out in the third. Random question here. What did you see from that Reggie Jackson, Chris Paul collision? First off, my heart dropped when Chris Paul dropped. I thought that the Beverly antics should have deserved at least a technical. But what did you see from that little chaotic moment?
You talking about when
Jackson
when
oh yeah, I'm sorry, not Jack. I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
Patrick Beverly. Yeah, my fault.
I thought Patrick Beverly should have been ejected, man.
Right.
I thought he should have got. I thought he should have
got at least a technical or something, man.
Right. Like, and then to get up and mock him afterwards, like that warranted. Yeah, that warranted a flagrant 2, in my opinion. Because I mean, you have to protect the player at that point. Like, you can't go under a guy's landing space. And for Mark Jackson and what's the guy named? Jeff Van Gundy. To say it wasn't a foul or it wasn't a flagrant foul, it was a common foul. Like, what are y'all seeing? What are y'all seeing? Like, he clearly went under the guy's like. Here's my thing with Patrick Beverly. He has a history of doing antics like this. Like,
you talked about that earlier.
He has a history of this. Like, it's not like this is something uncommon with him. This is what he does. And I think they alluded to that. Like, this is, Patrick Beverly, he's going to fight over screens and stuff. Like, okay, but that's not basketball. That's football. He undercutted the dude. Like he was going up for a touchdown pass in the end zone. He just undercutted the dude. Like, we don't do that in basketball. It's not basketball.
And, we all know Chris Paul's a tough dude. And my heart dropped when he fell. And I did see Patrick Beverly go over to Chris Paul, and they were like talking. They like we're like, it's all good. But like, Patrick Beverly became the most hated man in Phoenix right there.
I wanted to jump to the TV. I wanted to jump to the TV when I seen that, man. I ain't gonna lie to you. I thought he pulled his groin because when he landed, he kind of grabbed his groin. I'm like, man, come on.
Yeah,
not now, not now, man.
Yeah, I wanted to get your take on that because obviously there were so many things that went wrong this game, and I mean, Daniel just said hope his back is going. I'm sure he's fine, but just really all game, just Chris Paul seemed off, and I don't know, man. We just got to win one more game. Devin Booker has to be better. We got to get Ayton the ball more. We got to shoot better and not turn the ball over, not foul so much. And just we need better performances really out of the entire team. And that's where I cannot credit Cam Johnson enough. I think if Cam Johnson didn't play for some reason, we probably would have gotten blown out.
Oh, yeah, we definitely would have been.
Because he was our spark. You know what's crazy? Devin Booker had 31 points tonight, but it didn't seem like it. That's what's so strange about this game. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was more about the quality of shots Devin Booker hit. It wasn't quality shots that he got. So
yeah, he shot like 9 for 20 or something like that. It was horrible.
9 for 22. I think it was 9 for 22.
Yeah,
and that's where everybody else comes in. And Cam Johnson did a great job at stepping up. Mikal Bridges. DeAndre Ayton was a bit hesitant. We don't need them to be hesitant game 6. We need them. That's why I say, like, they're the X factors. DeAndre Ayton is the X factor. Mikal Bridges definitely is the. I'm still waiting on Mikal Bridges to have a breakout game.
Facts.
You know, so in order for us to beat the Clippers by 20, like the guy previously had predicted, we need those guys to step up. It can't just be CP3 and Devin Booker. It has to be all the other guys, you know?
Especially if we're going to win the championship, it has to be, man. And Campaign has to be better. Campaign was invisible tonight.
I think he's still recovering from that ankle injury, though, man.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what's going on with him.
That's true. I forgot.
He doesn't have that same passion in his face. Like
he doesn't have that explosion, you know.
Right. Remember that game? I think it was game 2 where he was yelling and screaming. He had spit out on his face, and he didn't even bother to wipe it off or nothing like that. Like that's the Cameron Payne. That's the Cameron Payne we need, man. We need that Cameron Payne, man. We haven't seen it since. You know, I think ever since he hurt his ankle or whatever. And I ain't trying to make any excuses, but I would have liked to see Javon Carter, man. Like if they're gonna put Patrick Beverley out there, we can match that type of intensity with Javon Carter. Like where's Javon Carter?
Absolutely.
You know? And you know what? Guy, like if you're gonna put Abdel Nader in after coming back from surgery, meniscus surgery, you trust him with minutes over Javon Carter? Like that's why I say Monty Williams made minor mistakes in my opinion that I can't really give him a pass for it. Like I don't see why you're putting Abdel Nader in a pressure moment over a guy that's already been proven, and in my opinion, deserves those minutes more than Abdel Nader.
Yeah, I agree, man. And that's what's scary about our team, man, is I said this earlier. You got guys on the bench like Javon Carter that are just chilling. Like, put them in, man. 10-point leads aren't what they used to be nowadays. 10-point leads can evaporate like that. And you got guys just chilling there, man. I'm like, that's how deep of a team we are. But Monty's got a little bit too much trust right now. And I guess that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, man. And frustrating.
It's a good thing for player morale, you know. Like, I feel like the players won't get down on themselves because they know they can have a bad game and go into the next game without worrying about getting yanked or having a coach come down on them too bad. So that's why I trust the Suns to bounce back from this. It's not a big deal in my opinion.
Daniel, longtime supporter of mine, also says, I thought this should have been DA's game. No Zubac. He had an okay game, but could have been more dominating. And again, from the jump, we weren't getting the ball to Ayton. He didn't seem like he was engaged. His body language looked strange. He didn't seem like he was hustling. He did, however, late in the game, have this monster rebound. I was like, I've never seen Ayton jump like that before. But yeah, if DeAndre Ayton would have been playing like he's been playing all playoffs long, especially in the Western Conference Finals, we probably would have won this game. But props to the Clippers, man. They punched the Suns in the face, and they deserve this win, whether or not the officiating was good, whether or not DeAndre Ayton was good. They deserve this win, man. They're showing why they, you know, had those back-to-back comebacks or whatever in the first and second rounds. You know, how they were down 2-0, you know. So props to them.
They were down
man.
2-0 and 3-2 to the Mavericks, and I think they were down 2-0 to the Jazz. Well, my thing is, they got one good win. All right, cool. Give hats off to the Clippers. Right. But do you trust them to get 2 more wins in that same type of fashion? Paul George getting 40
Absolutely
points.
Not.
Reggie Jackson getting however many points he got. I don't trust that, you know. So credit to the Clippers. I don't want to take anything away from them. I'm not going to poo-poo on that parade, but shout out to the Valley, man. We'll be back, man. Don't worry about that, man.
Suns and 6, man. Suns
and 6, man. You know the vibes, man.
You know, I hate to cut this short, Hitman X, but if you got any final thoughts, now's your chance to say it. I think this has been a great conversation, but I'm basically out. You know, I don't really know if there's anything else to say. You got any final thoughts?
Ain't too much to say after a loss like this, man. I mean, you just gotta
I'm surprised we've gone like 50 minutes, you know.
Right. I mean, I let you know, like, we're poised for this, man. This is our moment. Like I said before, this is our moment, man. Regardless of what goes on, like we were down in the Lakers series, right? And it was looking like it was it's over for the Suns. A lot of people making videos saying it's over for the Suns, and look how we responded, you know. So every time there's our backs are against the wall, we responded the whole series, the whole playoff,
all season.
So, all season we've always responded. So, like I say, give the Clippers their props, but we'll be back. Game 6 is our time.
Preach, man. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you to everybody who joined us. Once again, I cannot thank you enough to my guest, Hitman X. Once again, longtime fellow Suns fan and longtime supporter of mine. I got to get you back on the channel anytime you're available, man. But go check out his work. All you got to do is Google Hitman X, subscribe to him. After the stream, I'll make sure to like link your channel and stuff down below. So just read the description box. Of course, man. Thank you for joining me. Tough loss tonight, you guys, but you know what? The Suns will bounce back. And as Chris Paul, once his Twitter got hacked, said, Suns in 6. The Suns will win in 6. He was hacked for like 30 minutes, and it was hilarious.
Was it really hacked? He was really hacked?
Yeah, he really got hacked, and it went viral, and whoever hacked him was tweeting all this crazy stuff, and it was hilarious. And that was just perfect. Like, and look at the time too, 2:24 a.m. It was. Right. I was laughing, man.
I thought he tweeted that out, man. I was like, man, CP3 is savage. It's a win in 6. Like that's savage, man. That's some savage work right there, man.
Speaking of savage, before we go, did you see that shirt that DeAndre Ayton wore of Devin Booker and his?
Oh yeah, the Devin Booker shirt. Yeah, that was pretty. To go out and have a game, that's the DA we need right there. We need him to come out with another shirt like that. You know, another moment. You know, come on, DA.
Exactly, man. Mark Jackson says, thank you, Brandon. Well, you know what? Thank you, Mark Jackson. And thank you to everybody who was in the stream. Thank you to everyone who watches post-stream. Thank you to Hitman X. And as always, guys, make sure to Hulk smash the like button and please subscribe for everything Phoenix Suns. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Go Suns, go. Suns in 6. And I'll see you guys next time.